Season 4 of Invincible is finally here with a 3-episode premiere, and I was so unbelievably excited for this season, and you probably have a couple of questions. Does it live up to the hype? Is it worth your time? And should you actually give it a chance following that amazing Season 3 finale? Can they truly top it? Well, I will say, they don't top the Season 3 finale, that's going to be expected. They're not going to top that until the Season 4 finale, but everything that they're doing very well. The story beats, they're all hitting nicely, and the story is running smoothly. I like all the character arcs they got going on. They're juggling a lot of different characters, but they all make it feel a little bit seamless, and I enjoy it, and we get a couple of good fights throughout all 3 episodes, so I would say the Season 4 premiere is going just swimmingly, and I can't recommend it enough. Now, the next word that I'm going to say, it might scare a little bit of you. Some of you might be a little bit terrified. Spoilers! Yeah, some of you probably crumbled into your seats and just, started rethinking everything, your life flashing before your eyes as you're terrified of potentially learning something you don't want to know about Invincible Season 4. And if you're that kind of person, then I would click off the video, because I'm going to be discussing everything I liked and everything I didn't like about episodes 1, 2, and 3 right now. So starting off with episode 1, I woke up really early to watch this episode, so safe to say, when I'm being thrusted into the world, into existence a little bit faster, my expectations were pretty high, and this episode, it definitely delivered. If I was to rate it like 1 to 10, I would probably just give it a solid 6 out of 10. I think it's really good for Mark and Mark's progression as a character, and it's safe to say, Mark doesn't get his ass beat. Not once! I mean, he gets hit, but he doesn't lose a single fucking fight in the first 3 episodes. We are finally winning, and I have read all the comics, so I was kind of expecting Mark to finally start winning some fights, but it's just good to finally see it. I feel like that was a huge problem, especially in Season 2 or Season 3, whenever they decided to do that thing where Mark was training and they were saying, 100% stronger, 100% faster, oh, he's living his life. Yeah, that pissed me off, because then you just watch him get his ass beat by beetles and centipedes, and you just don't really feel it. You don't feel like anything's changed. Here, it genuinely feels like Mark is trying again, dealing with all the trauma and the PTSD of Conquest, of Angstrom, of the Invincible War, and the fact that he is now willing to take a life. I think it's a great turning point for his character, and it's honestly a lot more interesting to watch this new version of Mark, this changed version of Mark, go through all of this, I don't know, pent-up aggression, while at the same time still trying to be empathetic. It's very interesting for his character, and I really like the direction that they're taking it. So we get a couple of good things in the beginning, where Mark is just going around fighting a bunch of different things, just helping everybody out on the planet, just with a very stoic look on his face, and we actually get introduced to Dinosaurus. Now, I don't really want this to be a comic spoiler video, but I'm very excited to see Dinosaurus, because he's one of my favorite villains within the comics, so his introduction was fun. The battle was just kind of whatever, it's just kind of in existence. They fight for a little bit, and then Dinosaurus turns back into a normal person, and Mark debates killing him, which is very interesting, and it's kind of a issue throughout these first 3 episodes, where Mark constantly wants to kill people, and it's always very interesting to see Mark have this dilemma, because he seems so sure of himself in Season 2 after the Invincible War that it was the right thing to do, that you have to do it, but I really like that they don't make that come easy, because it shouldn't be easy for a superhero, somebody as young as Mark, somebody who has so many values as Mark, to kill people. Yes, he thinks it's okay, but it shouldn't be easy. It should be something that he has to grapple with, and he struggles with that throughout all 3 episodes, eventually killing somebody, and I still think it's very interesting. I would say that the majority of episode 1 is good. It's just surface level villains though, which just isn't that great. Like seeing the Sequids return, it's just not that fun for me. I just think the entire idea of the parasites coming back is just a little bit overplayed. I just don't care for it very much, and everything they did with the final battle with the Sequids was again just kind of whatever, not really interesting me. Before we get to the Sequids, there is a conversation between Mark and Eve and Eve's parents, and you just kind of get to learn about Eve's piggy father a little bit more, his piggy fat ass likeness, and how he doesn't think that Mark is a good person for Eve, and Mark is kind of the reason that Eve almost died twice, so Mark has to also grapple with that, while also grappling with his new desire to kill all villains, and we get to see this in its full power when we get to the Sequids, where they're battling the Sequids. Mark is just going through this entire battle, just basically destroying the Sequids, and eventually has the final Sequid after they free all the humans from it, and Mark has to kill the last one because they're not going to make it in time before the Sequids manage to escape. So Mark kills a innocent man who was under the control of a parasite, and I like that he has to grapple with this so much and how everybody's in shock, and it bleeds into episode 2 very well. Episode 1 was overall really good. We had a couple of things that I just didn't really feel like talking about, like Eve struggling with her powers, Rex, that not being Rex Explode anymore, just Rudy Rex, Robot Rex. He is struggling with leadership and wants to do his own thing, so just setting up a couple of decent character arcs that I really did enjoy. Overall, I thought the episode was fun, nonetheless. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was good to get us thrown back into this world, but I wish they would have started with episode 2, because holy fuck, waking up so early in the morning to watch Invincible, episode 2 would have just been cranking on my giblets, getting me, lighting a fire in my ass, doing something crazy. And I honestly wish that I had footage. I don't know how people can, in my totally super ethically, totally legal way of gathering footage of shows for YouTube, I don't know how they could get it so unbelievably fast for shows. There's probably going to be some people who have it. I can't right now, but I wish I could show you footage of everything that happens in this opening sequence. I'll just describe it to you the best I can. In episode 2, we get to take a look at Nolan in his younger years at Viltrum, and initially I was thinking, wow, there's this young man here teaching a bunch of young Viltrumite kids how they should function in reality and how they should be as a Viltrumite. Why does this guy kind of look like Mark? This is a little bit weird, because Nolan looked like a young version of Mark and I couldn't put 2 and 2 together, and then he starts getting his ass beat by his Viltrumite parents, and the father manages to spare him, and Nolan gets to survive another day, and we learn that it is Nolan. It was like a fucking light bulb moment in my brain when I was like, oh shit, it's Nolan. And then we see he's about to go on his first mission, and that is when everything within the universe genuinely collapses, with the Scourge virus being poured onto the Viltrumites, and we get to watch the death and destruction that this caused in great detail, with their eyes starting to bleed, their noses bleeding, their ears bleeding, and we watch billions upon billions upon billions of Viltrumites die. Nolan even catches the Scourge virus, and he is one of the only survivors with 50 of them left. Watching them throw all of the Viltrumite bodies, just billions upon billions of them, into space, so much so that all of the corpses form a ring around the planet, is just such a crazy visual, and they truly managed to make this scene hit so hard. Even though you don't care for this species, they managed to make this entire just plague feel like one of the most devastating points in the series. I absolutely loved this opening scene, and just everything that we got to explore in episode 2 genuinely made it one of my favorite episodes within the entire series. It was just so unbelievably enjoyable to watch Nolan and Alan just go around different points in space and get all these different things that could be used to help fight the Viltrumites. And everything about it is great. It's got some good comedy, it's got some good lore, it's got some crazy scenes that I really liked, some decent fights. It has everything you could possibly need, with them just jumping from planet to planet to planet. They go and find Space Racer, which is a really cool character with a gun that is capable of killing Viltrumites. He was cool. They fight and thrash with him a little bit. We get some characterization for Nolan where he has to apologize. Absolutely loved that. I love watching Nolan throughout all of this, because everything that they go and get, it's stuff that Nolan initially destroyed. Like, he killed an entire planet, he froze an entire planet of creatures and didn't care about the nearby planets, which were also frozen. He moved an entire planet up closer to his sun and just killed hundreds upon hundreds of creatures, not caring initially. And watching Nolan struggle and just have to grasp the fact that he was this person 100 years ago and he was doing these things, now feeling remorse, it is just amazing to watch the progression of his character. Somebody who was raised to be just such a cruel being, now coming to terms with everything he's done. I think, honestly, Nolan, Omni-Man, is probably my favorite character within this show, and I love watching him progress as a character. I think it's done so unbelievably well. I truly enjoy it. And they eventually get to this planet with Ragnars, which is this species of just super buff, red dinosaur-like creatures that are capable of killing anything in the galaxy. And we get a pretty tense situation. Honestly, some parts of it I kind of found a little bit annoying. Omni-Man and Alan are supposed to be able to fly at very fast rates. I mean, they're super fast in general, and just every scene felt like it was slowed down for tension. Like, they say that they unfreeze all the Ragnars, which were frozen by Nolan, and then Nolan says, careful, we need to move fast. Well, their bodies are half frozen, and then they fly away from the Ragnars, and it looks like they're clearly in a distance where they would get away, and all of a sudden the Ragnars just easily grab them. And something about it, it feels almost like Nolan and Alan were slowing down, so they could get caught. I know that wasn't the case, but just something about the animation here, it just felt like everything was slowed down and a little bit wonky, a little bit clunky. But it didn't necessarily take away from my enjoyment. They barely managed to survive thanks to Talia, and they go up there, and we get lots of scenes with Alan and Talia having voluptuous, beautiful sex while Nolan listens, which adds to the comedy of the episode. I thought that was pretty gosh dang decent. And so they go around collecting everything. They eventually go back, and Thetis shows Nolan that he was the creator of the Scourge virus, the virus that killed all the Viltrumites. Nolan almost kills him, but ultimately decides that he is going to get Mark, and he's going to go to war. So ultimately, episode 2 was just a banger. I left out a lot of good details. If you haven't watched that episode, I can't recommend it enough. It's probably in my top 5 episodes in the series. It was just so unbelievably enjoyable. Even if I did have a couple of problems with the Ragnar fight, it was still very enjoyable. I absolutely loved it. Episode 3 just kind of goes back down to that grounded feeling once again. We're doing stuff with Titan again, the guy who could turn into stone, Mr. Liu, the guy who could turn into the dragon, all of that nonsense, where they're just, you know, oh man, he's in my territory, he wants to kill my family, oh no. We do get this really cool fight between Titan and Magna Attack? Where's my notes? Magna Attack, who is just a guy that could throw like steel plates, and he tries to kill Titan's family. That fight was decent, nothing too special, but I ultimately did enjoy it. And then Mark is just still dealing with the fact, coming to grips of killing that guy. Eve is struggling with her powers, so they're both just, you know, at fault. So Oliver has to go and help Titan in this one scene where they have to fight the dragon. He's getting his ass beat. That's when the Flaxens also invade. They're juggling so many different villains in this series, and they actually make it work. They've done at least 8 different villains within 3 episodes, and they all get a certain amount of time to be fleshed out decently. There's a couple more villains that need to be explored more thoroughly, obviously, but we get a pretty decent sequence with the Flaxens here, and a pretty decent sequence with Mr. Liu the Dragon versus Oliver. And Mark and Robot and Monster Girl, they managed to defeat the Flaxens with Robot and Monster Girl going into the Flaxen dimension. And if you read the comics, that is going to be a crazy arc within the series that I'm honestly shocked that we're getting that so unbelievably early. I guess it does make sense with the progression of the series. I just can't believe that they're already in the Flaxen dimension in season 3. It just feels a little bit fast to me. Again, I'm not going to go into detail for that because I'm not a comic guy, I'm a show guy. But either way, that seems very early, and I'm very excited for everything with Robot and Monster Girl within the Flaxen dimension. And then you have Mark with the portal to the Flaxens being closed, so he goes to help Oliver, and they just beat the dragon's ass for a little bit. A decent, enjoyable fight. I loved it. It was thoroughly good. Oh yes, they just beat the dragon's ass a little bit. The dragon flies away, and then everything just once again goes right back to the status quo. Mark almost brutally kills Titan, which makes Titan realize that he needs to go back to the Order. So he goes to this Order of villains, and then Mr. Liu and Titan are now buddy friends there. So yeah, everything back to the status quo with the lower level villains. I'm sure we're going to be fighting them again just randomly, probably in a fucking season 5 premiere where we're going to be fighting street level villains again, where Mark has to deal with and grasp everything. But I don't know. We are building some really good things within the season so far, especially the Viltrumite War, and I don't know, I like it. I would say it's definitely a little bit more hard-hitting than like the season 2 premiere or even the season 3 premiere. I just feel like getting to watch Mark actually battle and actually do decent is a lot more enjoyable than just, oh man, how long is it going to be until Mark gets his ass kicked? And I really like everything that's going on with the character arcs. Genuinely, Mark's arc of him just struggling, coming to grasp with the fact that he is okay with killing people, but just how every single villain he just thinks about how he has to kill them is a great progression for his character, and it's very enjoyable. Adam Eve struggling without her powers, and then I didn't even mention at the end of that episode, Adam Eve is preggers, baby. She's got a little baby developing in her, a little fetus that wants to crawl out and do things, powerful things. Oh yes, I can't even remember Tara or something. I can't remember the name of the baby. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Eve is preggy, that's fun. That's probably why her powers are all out of whack. Wow, that's to be explored further when she finally tells Mark that she might be a little bit pregnant. Oh, how exciting. But I like everything that's going on with Mark and Adam Eve's side of the story. I really like Nolan. I think Nolan's progression as a character is very enjoyable. I just love watching him again. I know I've already said it. Just go from planet to planet and just have to come to terms with everything that he's done and genuinely feel remorse, but still just like have those moments where he's just at odds with who he truly is and who he has been for thousands of years. It is just so good. I love it. Season 4 is off to a genuinely great start. And that's pretty much it. That's all I really got to say about these episodes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't usually do like episodic, like topical reviews this soon where I'm just talking about nonsense. So if it's just a little bit janky, forgive me a little bit. I don't usually do stuff like this. Still getting used to it, but I do plan on covering episodes as they come out a lot more and figuring out how to get some footage to go along with it so you don't just have to stare at my beautiful, luscious face the entire time. But either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on Invincible Season 4 down in the comments below. I'll respond to every single one of you, and if I get some hot takes, if I get some crazy things being said, perhaps I'll make a part 2 just based on what everything you guys are saying. So yeah, very excited to see where the season goes. I really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.